And in 5. Greetings and salvations. This is Zunthoff Neverborn and the Abyss That Slumbers, and you are listening to Eldritch Rants, the show that doesn't really dare to answer any questions today because we got a really late start here. So we're just gonna jump into the topics. We got Farty and Richard here, and that's about it. So, how's it going, guys?
Well, you got through the intro all right.
Yeah, I'm expecting to get interrupted in about 2 seconds here because I don't know. It's like this person has psychic powers. The only time she shows up is when I'm using the bathroom or it's inconvenient.
But you're expecting her. That's the thing.
Yep. So let's see here. We're just gonna jump into some usual crazy crap and move along with our lives. Anything you guys want to start with?
You there, Richard?
Yeah. Maybe.
Nothing specific. I looked over them. Nothing that stands out.
Well, then we'll just take them in whatever order they showed up in. This one's been making the rounds. ABC, ask your children for consent before changing their underwear. Have you heard this one, guys?
I was so hoping that one got missed by the rest of the world.
Well, the one that disturbs me in this here is that the implication is that the child has consent. If the child has consent, then the child can give consent. And if the child can give consent to changing your nappy, then the child can consent to having sex with you.
You see, that's the thing that's bothering me about these LBGTPQRSLV fuckhead, dickhead, bloody fairy pinko poofter wanker fucks. Is okay. Yes, a child should, have the consent, but they shouldn't be in a position where they need to have consent. And if you're going to start on with the got to give consent to changing a nappy, well, when they get to the age of 2 or 3, where they start asking why after every time you explain something to them, they're going to be like, okay, you need to give someone consent to change your nappy. But why? Because some people like to do it and you need to give consent. But why? So now you're going to have to actually explain to them sexual practices and all this kind of stuff. And then the last time I fucking checked, that was fucking pedophilia.
Pretty much. I mean, this is insane. This is insane. No, children do not get to give consent. They have guardians and parents. And as they get older and they mature, yes, you give them increasing amounts of autonomy and responsibility. But at that age, no. The implications are what disturb me. But
also, so it doesn't really matter whether you have done something or not, because I've known a fair few women that have used that he was alone with my child and I can say whatever the hell I want kind of thing. It's actually happened to me brother. And I was really sort of a bit funny about that too, especially with Jai not being any part of the relationship me and Susan were in. It was actually fucking Susan's ex-partner, Naomi's kid. So it was like 3 degrees of separation. I'm just a friend of the family, someone who's rooting an auntie, and why the hell do I have to be doing the fatherly duties and shit like that? No, you go fucking give him a bath. I'm not going to, be in the same room with him alone while you can, lord that shit over me later on. But on that article there too, if you look over to the adverts there's another little side note. Whoever remembers the Mr. Men books?
I don't recall that.
Oh, well, this might be more of a Commonwealth thing, because I know it was big in Britain. I think the cartoon was actually made in Britain. But anyway, there was all these little cartoon characters, like there was Mr. Strong, Mr. Tall, Mr. Skinny. But feminists are having a fucking cry about this, not because there are no female characters. No. It's that one of the female characters, the most prominent female character is Little Miss Bossy.
Wait, is that the one where all the characters are like shapes and colors and shit?
Yeah, big round circles with skinny little
Wasn't
arms or
there
tall,
only,
thin.
like 2 female characters?
Yeah.
Everything must be destroyed.
But they don't like it because the female character is Little Miss Bossy, and Bossy is sexist.
Now, this is, I hate to point and say, hey, it's a conspiracy, but this isn't a conspiracy. This is a emergent property where if you teach this nonsense to enough people, they start coming to these conclusions.
Yeah, this is idiocracy coming true. And yeah, you're right about that. You've got dickheads like that fucking Lindsay Amer, who's aiming her fucking videos talking about, consent and gender studies and all this to fucking 3 to 5 year olds. And of course, like later on when someone says, "What the fuck?" and they go, "Oh no, that's bloody homophobia or something like that." No, not when we're talking about 5-year-old kids. No, that shouldn't happen. But you're bloody, was it fucking suppressing my fucking right to fucking... No, you shouldn't have that fucking right at all because it's fucking borderline illegal for a fucking start. I think pretty sure if we did look into it, it is fucking illegal. But yeah, and then, but these cunts are teaching these kids so that when these kids are a little older, it's perfectly fine for you to go and chat up my 5-year-old sister.
Oh, it's fucking disgusting that they use the label homophobia for anybody who's opposed to explaining sexual practices to children.
Well, they use the term Nazi for anybody who disagrees with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Language doesn't mean anything to them anymore. They just hurl out whatever insult pops into their vacant little head.
Oh, no. Language only means something when I say something. And it doesn't necessarily need to be the something that I said that you're going to read into. Apparently.
Utter insanity. Any rate, moving on. Speaking of insanity. One sec. Actors dressed as ISIS militants storm shopping mall to promote movie. What could possibly go wrong? In Tehran, yes, that's Iran, Iranian actors dressed as Islamic State fighters recently stormed a shopping mall in an attempt to promote a new film about a father and son who traveled to Syria to deliver humanitarian supplies but end up kidnapped by ISIS.
This sounds like a Fousey Tube stunt.
Unfortunately, their performance was a little too good and caused many shoppers to run for their lives. Wow. It's kind of heartening to realize that even in Iran, there are really stupid people. These guys look absolutely crazy looking when you look at these pictures here. And these guys ran into a mall to promote a movie. Wow.
What level of idiot do you have to be?
Well, I like the idea that they actually kind of thought they could laugh at this sort of thing and this could be funny, I guess. Like, you don't hear about many Muslims trying to be comedic.
Humor, pretty subjective, so I can see how they would find it funny and others wouldn't, but is that really the place to be doing it? Like, in terms of what country it was in?
Well, Iraq has a prank show, and they find the whole subject of terrorism fucking hilarious. There was one show that they had where they had a roadblock, proper Humvee, Yank uniforms, M16A2s, the whole lot, pull you over for a random check, and all of a sudden, they start running from the car like there's a bomb in it. And of course, the driver's now packing shit because he's now thinking he's about to get shot. And they're running for cover, they're dragging him by the scruff of the neck, quick, jumping around, they're pointing guns at this cunt, going, "What the fuck's in your car?" and all this kind of shit. And he's sitting there literally making a puddle of excrement running down his fucking leg and shit. And it's after he's finished shitting himself, they go, "It was just funny, to get in your car, fuck off." And that's on a TV show.
Well, I guess in Iraq you can get away with that. Don't like our comedy, we'll shoot you. How about that? That works for you.
Conversely, there was actually a spate of attacks where these ISIS monkeys would, just sort of basically drive up to roadblocks and shit and start shooting with silenced weapons. they actually had to stop filming that because they were worried that if they got caught, they'd be found with evidence. It was actually a directive from Al Qaeda's top fucking brass that actually said, "No more filming your terrorist acts. They might think we're terrorists."
No, actually, Jacob, we are way late. In fact, I'm going to get interrupted at some point, probably in the next half hour or so. But yeah, it's not you. It was me.
It's not you. It's me. And no, we're not breaking up.
Any rate, moving on a bit here. Let's get a bit more serious. 10 dead at the shooting in Santa Fe High School.
At least the cunt with the gun didn't fucking run his dick tucked between his legs this time.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, supposedly he was planning on killing himself and then he chickened out. And I always tell everybody, if you're going to be a mass shooter, please commit suicide first. Then you're allowed to kill as many people as you want. But in this case...
The school resource officer or whatever they call it, the bloody wannabe cop with a gun, fucking apparently he got wounded. So unless he's been shot in the ass, he obviously wasn't running away from it.
Well, I'll give him some props for that here. But in this case, this kid, you know, I heard somebody make a suggestion, and actually this one, you know what? I can get behind it because I think it would fix a lot of these school shootings real fast. There is zero chance that the parents didn't understand something was going on, given what we know about this kid. I mean, and his hobbies online and all the other crap. Charge him as accessories. You know, the parents are the guardians, and if your kid runs off and, you know, you can say, hey, look, even if you can't prove it, charge him anyways. Make a big stink of it. And then maybe parents will go, my God, if my kid goes off and kills a bunch of people, maybe I'm going to get arrested for it. I should keep a better eye on him. Because that's what a parent's job is. You know, because you could take away all the guns in the world. It wouldn't have stopped him. He had bombs, apparently. I mean, there's I don't know of any way they could really have prevented this, really, considering how it worked, because he didn't pop up anything federal-wise, but he certainly popped up in the community enough. So, I don't know. Any thoughts? Because, I mean, we're about to see the whole slew of, we've got to take all the guns now because if we don't, you know, you're murdering children, stuff like that, and the NRA supports murdering children, crapper.
I don't see how they can use that argument. Like, they're going to find a way to spin it to use that argument here, but, I mean, they can't use the NRA thing because he was a Hillary supporter. There's pictures of him wearing his I'm with her hat, as well as the bombs, which were illegally made. The gun, it was not his, and he was 17, so he couldn't have purchased one anyway. But they're not going to look too deep into that. They're just going to use the fact that he was using a gun.
Yeah, it's basically nonsense. But I mean, it's in California, so I mean, it's already an incredibly regulated state. I mean, come on now. Go ahead, California. Make the guns more illegal.
Well, here's a silly part about making guns illegal in California when you've got your entire border that is not secured at all.
Wait a minute, Jacob. The governor claimed there were too many exits and entrances, and that was to blame for the shooting?
What the fuck?
It was too easy for the shooter to get inside and kill everybody. Huh? I think he went in the front door, you moron.
Like, and windows aren't an exit? Last time I checked, there's a hell of a lot of windows in schools.
It's California. I'm sure they're going to make windows illegal now because, you know.
I'm just, you know, hoping that the whole bomb part of it was that some idiot reporter has gone through his YouTube history and, you know, he was actually into rap music and just commented a lot, you know, that, you know, he raps himself and he drops bombs. He's got bombs and all this kind of shit. And the cunt thought, oh, it must be pipe bombs. He doesn't drop lyrical bombs.
I don't know. I mean, it's going to get mangled no matter what you do, and you're going to... That's the problem. You know what? I long for the day for objective truth. That's really one. Oh, it was the lieutenant governor. Okay, got it. It's
Well,
still California. It's still California. The place needs to be burned to the ground and pushed into the sea.
See, another thing that shits me about, like when they say an AR-15 style rifle, is that that's actually a style within itself. It's not a broad scale of like, um, bloody reduced cartridge fucking magazine-fed rifles. I mean,
Keep talking. I gotta go take care of something.
yeah, there's the there's the set me style, there's the AK style, there's the H&K style, and they all make things that are sort of AR-15-ish. But to blame the AR-15 all the time is a bit fucking ludicrous, I reckon. Bloody, especially too when they're saying like the AR-15 supposed to be the semi-automatic version of an assault rifle. And didn't Martin Bryant down in Tasmania only take single well-aimed shots? But I love the whole AR-15 style rifle when they don't say shit about
other guns.
Yeah, but they don't say shit about things like the 303 Lee Enfield, the M1 Garand, the M14, the SLR L1A1. They all have bigger bullets.
Well,
And
those
they're
are
called
just scary, like, in terms of how they're portrayed, so why would they use that when they can use the fear tactics?
well, they use your fear tactics of like, well, I used to hear from the Vietnam veterans is that they could put 20 rounds of 5.56 in a bloke and still have the cunt running towards him. But I hear from the Vietnam fellas that the old SLR with its 7.62 NATO rimless could go through a tree, drop the fucker on the other side, and keep going. I think I know which one's more scarier, personally.
Well, yeah, there's the truth, and then there's how they're portrayed. Nobody
Yeah.
really talks about those.
But then Martin Bryant, he's pissy little AR-15 down in Tasmania. He was he was a very open area that was surrounded by lots and lots of hills. And with a 303 or a 7.62, I've got 200 yards of fucking range on that cunt. When we're talking about range of a bullet, the range
Sorry about
of the
that.
rifle, the range of the rifle itself is basically dictated by its the length of the sights, the distance between the sights, and the longer the barrel you got, the further the round will go. But depending on elevation and all that kind of stuff, depends on exactly how far and fast it'll fly. Now, it'll also depend on its accuracy as well. So out at, say, 600 yards, you should be able to hit something with an M16. Out at 800 yards, you should be able to hit something with an SLR. Now, pushing further than 600 yards with an M16 or an AR-15.
Am I getting my shootings mixed up? This is the one in Texas. I thought there was one in California, too.
Is that another one where only 3 people got shot?
Oh, right. Yeah, that was the one where there was only 3 people. There was the one in California. There was the one in Texas. Then there's the one that was in the golf course. Well, we'll talk about that one later.
Yeah, the other one happened at a school, but wasn't a school shooting.
Ah, right.
So
I'm getting my shootings mixed up.
Yeah, your effective ranges on these types of rifles, for your average shooter, right? Now, I am fairly well trained, and I could push an SLR further than 800 yards, but I've still got 200 clear yards of pretty decent accuracy on top of this little fucker. So I don't really understand why they keep fucking bastardizing AR-15s. Like, there's a lot of fucking downfalls to them.
It's just because it sounds nice to the audience. Anyway, shall we move on?
Yeah.
Here's some fun nonsense. Boy Scouts to drop boy.
Why?
Because now Boy Scouts will accept anyone, not just boys, into the Boy Scouts. So now they'll accept boys and girls. Only one downside to this that they didn't anticipate. The Mormons decided, you know what? It's not you, it's us. We don't know if this is working out here, so maybe we need to make our own organization that doesn't involve you guys anymore. And that means 1/3 of the Boy Scouts of America are losing their membership as of next year. And I can't blame them because, and I mean, the Girl Scouts are kind of flipping out about it too. They're like, "You're taking away potential membership for us." I was like, "Well, why don't you accept boys then?" I understand that this was a money thing. It really wasn't a whole gender neutrality bullshit, even though they're hyping it up as that. Like, the Boy Scouts has been steadily losing money for quite a while now, and they thought that this would drum up some more business, but it looks like it's going to be the exact opposite. They're going to go down to 2/3 their membership over this. Like, if the goal was to enroll more people, they failed, because I think overall they only got about 3,000 new members of girls. And I forget what it's going to be. It's going to be like, it wasn't in this article. It was in a different one. I want to say that it's like close to like 80 or 90,000 boys will be leaving or something because of the Mormons.
No, well, Baden Powell will be rolling in his grave now.
I mean, I don't get it. I mean, you got to have imagined that there was going to be some backlash to this. And why did they think that this was going to work?
Well, especially since there's the Girl Scouts.
I don't know. There's just a part of me that just wanted to smack him upside the head. Just go, what were you thinking? Because I was a Boy Scout. Even though I hated it, I absolutely hated being a Boy Scout. It was a major pain in the ass, but it was the only organization in a town that had maybe 1,000 people in it, so you went. But
well, that was a thing there too. Like, you know, back in that day, you didn't have lots of things to do on the weekend. You know, there weren't really malls to go hang around in. There, you know, not really too many places to drive, especially at that age, and you know, didn't have computer games or anything to keep you at home. You maybe had backyard cricket or something like that, and maybe down the reserve for some tackle footy with your mates. But yeah, there was hardly anything else for you to do, and a lot of people did used to get, you know, put into St John's ambulance brigades, the Cubs and Scouts, and out here, I don't know whether you've got it there, but there's an older version of Scouts, which is called Venturers. Same shit, different smell, just for older people. There's the Australian Air League. That was another one, like Scouts, but you learn about aircraft instead. And all of these organisations are old, and they're run by really old people most of the time, and they're just so out of touch nowadays. It's no wonder fucking kids don't gravitate towards it anymore. But I'm reckoning that will die sometime soon. In our lifetime, we'll probably see the end of organisations like this.
probably, yeah, it's... Well, I mean, it's also a lot of the attack on culture. People don't trust each other anymore. When people don't have anything in common, they don't want to go and hang out with each other. You know, this whole diversity builds strength here. No, diversity results in communities breaking apart and wanting to have nothing to do with each other. Okay, there's a reason why self-segregation happens. So,
yeah, go ask most kids nowadays, do you want to put that fucking tablet down and go miles out to buggery in the bush and fucking live out there with no electricity and no this, that, and the other thing, and have a regimented lifestyle for a couple of days, and sleeping on the ground, all that shit, and if it rains, no, you're staying out there, all that kind of shit. Would you want to do that? No, you're right sitting here? Okay, mate.
but you see, there was a time when that used to be hyped up for, it's like, if you go do this, this is how you prove that you're like tough as nails. Okay.
Yeah. They've still got that. It's called the Duke of Edinburgh Award.
Now, well, it's not done today anymore because we have to get permission to even change kids' goddamn diapers. So you can't encourage somebody to go and be strong or survive or do anything like that because, hey, you know, it might make them feel bad. We don't want to you feel bad.
That's the benefit of the Duke of Edinburgh Award. There's none of this fucking, you know, do you need your nappy changed or anything like that, because usually by the end of that, you haven't slept for about 3 days. You've done you're damn near been to bloody war. And yeah, by the time you get out, what's happened to you? If some cunt fucking accuses you of wearing a nappy, you get the God-given right to punch them the fuck out. No bloody, as the Duke of Edinburgh himself would say, There's no bloody Susie Puff the Fairy Pinkos in this fucking thing. What was wrong with that? Oh, you didn't get that joke? Jeez, you haven't been paying attention to your royal news now, have you? God, you don't know about the Duke of Edinburgh.
No, I missed on that one.
Fucking Prince Philip, he's the funniest fucker you've ever met. It's like he's old school racist fucking, like, no filter, no nothing. Because what are you going to do? Tell the Queen's husband to don't be racist? He'll tell you to fuck off. It's fucking hilarious. Like, yeah, every time we hear about the Duke of Edinburgh in Australia, it's because he said something fucking like from the 1800s. Like if you're in like Polynesia or something like that, it's like, oh, these darkies wear them skirts really well, don't they? And like, he said darky. Oh my God. Oh shit. Oh, big thing about him saying darky. He's 90-something fucking years old. He's allowed to say what he wants.
Gotcha. No, okay, I think I know what you're talking about now. Didn't they have some wedding or something today?
Yeah. Harry, the good one, he's married some fucking bloody Sheila that used to turn the numbers on fucking Wheel of Fortune or something like that. Supposed to be famous for some reason.
I know of her starring in some chip commercial. Well, and that she's what? Is she biracial or black?
She's someone said that she was black, and like looking at her, it's like, nope, it's not black enough for what I wanted to hear the Duke of Edinburgh say. Now we were actually taking bets on that. We was like, oh geez, we hope Harry marries a dark child, just so as we could hear what the Duke of Edinburgh is going to say.
Hold on one second.
It doesn't matter that Megan Sheila, she's never getting anywhere near the throne anyways. It goes when Liz dies, Charles gets it, and then when Charles dies, fucking William, Harry's older brother, gets it. And then when he dies, it's George, I think, the firstborn.
Gotcha. Well, let's move on to Chinese.
I like Chinese. They only come up to your knees. They need glasses to see. Ready and willing and happy to please.
Interesting. I haven't heard that one. Chinese family shocked after pet puppy turns out to be a bear. Yep, well, they bought a bear.
Coming from the Chinese.
Yep, they bought a pet puppy, and after 2 years, it turned into a 250-pound black bear.
How do you not recognize it being a bear?
Well, they thought it was a Tibetan Mastiff, which are rather bear-ish looking, but yeah, I mean, I kind of thought this guy. The thing is I want to know how friendly it was. Was it relatively tame? Because in my impression, bears are usually kind of vicious. So,
well, it's not the first time the Chinese have fucked this one up. At least they've sort of got a bear this time. Years ago, I can't remember exactly how long, about 6 or 7 years ago, the Chinese zoo made the headlines because their bear was actually a Tibetan Mastiff, and they just figured that no one would know the difference. No kidding, the zoo had a dog for a bear.
Yeah, hold on one sec. I'm trying to send Cabbage an invite. He can't seem to figure out he's already a member.
Silly bloody bombs.
Any rate, well, you know, I actually had a relative who did this. They thought they got a dog, and it actually turned out to be a wolf. And you can tell by the claws. You know, the ones that go straight out, those are wolves.
A bear.
But yeah, but the irony was they called him Bear. Any rate, thought that was kind of funny and worth pointing out here. I think you're going to like this next one.
What is it?
Completely clear, alcohol-free beer can be enjoyed anywhere, anytime. It basically looks like water, but it tastes like beer.
No.
You know what that is? Yeah, we've got a term for that in Australia. It's called a waste of time.
Beer taste, all free, all time. So it's water that tastes like beer but has no alcohol or nothing. So you can sip it at work. And they've got some woman with shoulder pads sitting there typing away. It's kind of surreal.
They're missing the point. It's the same reason why we don't have drinking games in Australia. Why do we want to put an activity in the way of getting drunk, which is the only reason why we drink, is to get drunk.
Drinking is very serious.
Yeah, all the game is for us is getting in the road. Like, beer-flavored water is a prick tease.
It's I don't know. I think it's Chinese or something. I've done nice and I'm like, it's so weird.
That looks Japanese.
Oh, that's Japanese. Okay, I don't know. It looks like a chicken got ink on its feet and walked across a page. So that was pretty bad of me, wasn't it? But man,
but it's pronounced like a tin can being thrown down an alleyway. That's racy lacism. I shouldn't do that.
Moving on. Cornell University student presents her thesis in a bra, underwear, to protest against oppressive beliefs. I saw the video. I'll save it to you. Basically, while she was giving her her presentation in class, she stripped down to her underwear.
I wouldn't complain.
She was doing acting, wasn't she? She's just getting ready for Harvey Weinstein's audition.
Pretty much, yes. She wants to stand up against oppressive beliefs and discrimination by stripping down to her underwear.
And the beliefs are, she liked dick.
And then the question that came up was, what would your mom think?
Oh, ask her. She's just up on the corner there. Ha, sugar.
Close. The actual answer was, my mom is a feminist gender sexual studies professor. So in other words, she got this crazy idea from her mom.
Oh, that poor thing.
She didn't stand a prayer. She does not have a prayer in life. She is destined to either become a gender sexual studies professor herself, or she's going to work at Starbucks for the rest of her life.
I just took a look. Why is there always the people you don't want to take their clothes off that take their fucking clothes off?
There was a reason why there was it. Men didn't do the slut shaming. Men never had a problem with sluts. It was women who had the problem with sluts. And the reason is because, well, a 18-year-old girl can pretty much get any man she wants. So when you're a 30-year-old woman and there's an 18-year-old woman taking the man you want, because that man you want has a wallet and the 18-year-old boy doesn't, you're kind of SOL. So the women shamed the young girls who were sluts so that there was a pretty even distribution of men. The 18-year-old men went with the 18-year-old girls and the 30-year-old men went with the 30-year-old women, so that there was enough to go around. It wasn't patriarchy, it was matriarchy. But when they stopped the slut shaming, a lot of guys said, why would I sleep with somebody who's 30 when I could sleep with somebody who's 18? That's why they're slut shaming. It isn't the men, it's the women. And the moment you stop doing it is the moment you start shooting yourselves in the foot. Oh, it's only becoming more and more obvious, but I don't think there's any way they could possibly reverse it at this point. Speaking of irreversible, Ebola has infected dozens so far, killing 19 in the Congo.
Good, that's the other side of the country.
Well, it's actually finally made a port. They had one case in the port city of Congo, so... yeah, they've started giving out the experimental vaccine, which, by the way, is extremely experimental. We'll see whether or not it works or not, but man... this is misplanned. This is part of all the mismanagement that's over there. They're communists, and this is what happens. Yeah, communism does this to your country.
Is this the Democratic Republic of the Congo, or is this the other Congo?
Let's see. It doesn't say which one. I think it's the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Because one's a lawless state full of muzzos, and the other one is a war-ridden state that's full of not so many muzzos. And it's the ones that are full of muzzos is the ones that I'm worried about, because we can't trust them cunts to stay in one spot and just fucking deal with it there.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I haven't been looking into this too much. In my opinion, this is just going to peter out like it usually does. It'll bounce around for a while. A couple hundred people will die, and then it'll vanish again.
Well, hopefully, because like they said, we still don't have a cure for that one. Well, actually, we do. It's called suicide, but yeah.
Well, it's a bullet, but it's kind of permanent. But I believe that in the end, that this is going to be, it's going to get a couple hundred people and just kind of disappear again. I'm thinking there's some promise with the vaccine, but unfortunately, I believe Ebola mutates way too much.
Yeah, well, that's the vaccine pretty much hasn't been tested yet, because it's all of like there have been some people in Sierra Leone and Ghana that survived. They got it, they went through all the stages of it, and then they came out fine the other end. They've been basically looking into their DNA to find out what was different and all this kind of stuff. So it looks like they might have got some headway with that. But generally, the way that they'd usually treat this is basically anybody who's been infected gets put in the corner, and if they die, well, they had it, and if they don't, well, okay, cool.
I remember when this broke out a couple of years ago. They basically shut down touching anybody in the in large portions of Africa. But the big problem, of course, is their funeral rites. They have these weird practices that basically involve washing the dead. And in this case, you can't do that. It's drag the dead out with tongs and toss them on a big pile of wood that's burning.
Well, another thing that was the problem with it as well was that like Sierra Leone, where it was really big, they're still getting to a reliable government kind of thing. In fact, the bloke who was in power has just been, he just finished his terms, and was another person's been voted in. They actually allowed him to stay on for another, 18 months or something like that, because of the time that he lost in power whilst Ebola was happening. So they were really sort of finicky about the government back then, and all these people coming in suits and saying that fucking people need to be taken away, never to be seen again, was really fucking like it played a hell of a lot on people's minds. Because you remember the fucking Civil War was only 10 years ago.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And all sides were the assholes in that, and it took a fucking group of mercenaries to go in and fucking stop all the violence. So yeah, because of the mistrust in the government and all that kind of stuff, a lot of people weren't listening and stealing bodies and then doing their burial rites and all that kind of shit, and that just perpetuated it even further. But if it gets there now, they already understand it and is going to be a hell of a lot more effective this time around.
I'm thinking so. I mean, I doubt we're going to get that world-spanning zombie plague like I keep dreaming of, unfortunately.
Nah.
Anyway, shall we move on?
Yep.
Getting blood tests at dinner parties could be the next big trend among health freaks. I just want to shoot myself.
Well, let's just hope they don't learn anything off the Romans.
A health optimization party service is going to hit the market in London, where it's $337 per person and caters to a maximum of 8 people, where they do blood tests right there at your dinner party with a professional phlebotomist.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, that's right. It was the ancient Greeks. Sorry, not the Romans. The ancient Greeks used to literally eat on the toilet and they'd have special seats and stuff like that, and the bucket next to it, and all this kind of shit. And when they were full, well, they needed to piss or poop, they'd just go right where they were, and if they'd eaten too much, they'd another bucket to throw it all up in so they could keep eating.
I'm thinking that this is a result of their healthcare system. Like, you've probably got to be hideously rich to do this sort of thing at a party. So, you know, if you're rich, what better way to show off to your friends than, oh, stop by. I paid for everybody to get blood testing and health write-up done. You guys can all sit around and have the phlebotomist come by and do all your general testing. Like, this sounds like something the 1% will do, while 90% of the population languishes in ditches and dies thanks to socialism.
I just see British comedians now talking about their upbringing and all this, and like, oh, we had phlebotomy parties. Like, oh, really, you pretentious fuck.
That sounds really disgusting too. It sounds really perverted. We had a phlebotomy party.
Right, you know, it's actually quite funny seeing him having to eat. You know, he's having to retract everything that he's ever said because he knows that he actually created this shit. Because he thought he was
what now?
Who are you talking about?
The champagne socialist.
Oh yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about.
You know?
Yeah, the rich 1% were all for socialism, except they're like, oh, well, we understand nobody can get health care these days. That's why at our next dinner party, because I know it's such a tassel to get in to see the doctor, thanks to the fact that we destroyed the health care of our country, I've hired a phlebotomist for everybody to get their blood work done.
If you didn't see him, did you see him with the Jordan Peterson interview? Yeah, I say debate. You know,
no, I missed that one.
Kind of an embarrassment. There's with Dyson or someone and some other fatuous woman. There was Jordan Peterson and Stephen Fry.
Is that the one that was on NBC?
I don't know what it was.
Because there was one that they did such a horrible hatchet job on him. Like, when you see the original footage and you see what they actually did, it was like, my God, you just butchered his interview.
That was Jordan Peterson. Yeah, when Channel 4 tried to, that was Kathy Newman. Yeah, that was a fucking disaster.
Oh no,
this was a recent debate. It was actually a debate. It wasn't, you know, but the thing is, he started off like I was saying about this, you know, champagne socialism and all that sort of thing, and he's saying, well, I have to go because I don't think that the you know, the mother of the bridegroom is going to be upset with me if I'm late, right? I mean, this guy is about as much fucking establishment as you can possibly get, right? But he's been the worst champagne socialist that you could find. He's been promoting all this.
Stephen Fry.
Yeah, you know, he's been promoting social justice all the way through. I mean, the thing is, he's a comedian, right? And obviously he didn't realize what he'd actually created. And now he's trying to backpedal.
Well, he's not really upper crust and all this shit. I mean, like, he's self-educated or almost self-educated, and he's fucking been to jail.
No. He's not self-educated. He was
almost
spoiled. He's a spoiled child, and he went to Oxford. So I'm sorry, but you know, people say these things, but it's absolute nonsense. He's not like.
I said almost.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he did end up in prison, but that's only because he was a total dick. He fucked up, and he ended up in jail. Well, so what? That doesn't make him, you know, a social justice warrior. Well, I suppose by their claims he is.
Well,
I never said he was. I was actually more referring to an interlude he had on QI one day where he made mention of back when he was in prep school, and he's like, oh, but the tailors at my prep school, and then everyone started giving him shit about how fucking rich was your school? They had tailors? What the fuck? What, they carry, your books were carried around by a porter? Oh, porter, what's my next class? Yeah, science, sir.
Well, no, the thing is, I can actually understand that. I didn't get what the problem was, because when I went to school, we had a tailor as well. You know,
you want to talk about Stephen Fry being upper crust? What the fuck?
The difference is, I didn't take society down with me, did I? You know,
that's yet to be proven.
Well, yeah, it could happen. Yeah.
Well, I do know that when it comes to Jordan Peterson, like there's that interview you're talking about. There was an interview with NBC, and then there's the one that was with that one woman. And every time they interview this guy, they so maliciously edit the interview to try and make him look evil. But then when you see the original footage, it's like, wow, what a hatchet job.
Well, yeah, that's the Kathy Newman one. But no, there
was a new one. There was a new one since Kathy Newman. I forget what the guy's name was. They only just released the footage on it for the original.
Well, no, just check out that. I mean, it was done live. I watched the live stream.
That's a different one. I didn't see the live stream one. The one that I'm talking about was pre-recorded, and then they butchered it afterwards. But I mean, you can't. It's so awful what the mainstream media is doing. It's like, and when they're talking about like he's pro, they were saying he was pro. I forget what it was, hierarchies and stuff like that. And then he comes right out and says, I use the example of lobsters to prove that hierarchies have been around for 350 million years, and it's really bad. Lobsters. And I'm like sitting there.
Lobster.
He comes right out and says, I don't like hierarchies, and they say he's promoting hierarchies. Wow.
It is amazing how they just totally misrepresent the man. It really is. Because, and the thing is, and these are the fuckers who talk about nuance. And he's trying to explain nuance, and they say that they understand nuance, and then they totally misappropriate or misinterpret everything he does. It's so funny.
How can you sleep at night and do that job? How can you sleep and do that job? You're a reporter. I imagine that if I was going to be a reporter, it could be like, I'm going to be the guy who breaks the big story. I'm the guy who goes to bring the truth to the world. I'm going to turn over all the rocks and expose the cockroaches. And now you're the cockroach. You're the one they turn the rock over to expose the light on. How do you not blow your own brains out?
One Sherlock did, but they still won't put the footage up.
Waiting for yeah, but it was in Australia, so the internet's not exactly great, is it?
Well, it's all the American websites still saying, we can't upload the videos because it's too disturbing. Right after they've shown some fucking terrorist beheading some cunt. But he. I was going to say, don't worry.
Anyway, let's move on a bit. Let's keep things rolling here so we don't lag up too much.
Go. There's only 3 of us now. Where did everybody go?
Well, we started way late, and a lot of people had things to do, so that's why we're moving along. Oh, we might get Mad Dodge if he wants to come by. Gunman at Trump Doral Golf Club in Florida is shot by the police. Basically, some guy took down the American flag, walked into Trump's golf course, draped it over the desk, and then pulled out, I think, a 9mm and started shooting at random.
Who did that?
Florida man.
And it looks like Dodge isn't coming on. Oh, well, they don't know what his motivation was, considering he was screaming about Trump and P. Diddy or whoever that rap star who likes him is. Remember the guy with the Dragon Energy guy? I forget what his name was.
Kanye West.
Yeah, Kanye. Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on. This I'm surprised this isn't happening more. Like, I'm surprised this only happens every once in a while. Like, considering how much they warp people up and trying to make Trump look like he's like freaking Satan himself, this has only happened like once this year. Come on now.
Yeah. He's going for school shootings since he got rid of Osama bin Laden.
Although
shootings in general.
I gotta admit though, the last guy's name, Mr. Oddi, ODDI, that's just awesome. That's just an awesome name. If you want to be a crazy master, be Mr. Odd.
Cabbage is gonna get this one. No, Cabbage is gonna get this one. Please let it be Bill, and please let it be a protest about some fucking bird. You know.
Totally
Now,
clueless.
yeah, cool. Fucking yes, that's right. Yes, cool. There's another person from the Commonwealth. He's going to get all my goodies jokes. All one of them.
Hello, you can't forget the goodies, mate.
Goodies.
Graham.
Graham Garden, Bill Oddie, and Tim Brooke Taylor.
Graham Garden is just a fucking genius. That man was so funny. Estimated. I died. It's such a shame that he never got the recognition he deserved. He was a fucking genius, that man. Did you ever see him on QI? Actually, he was on QI, and he did one, and he just fucking floored everybody. The man is so smart.
Yeah,
it was brilliant. Anyway, it doesn't matter because nobody else cares. So move along.
No.
Move along. Nothing to see here.
Moving along.
Mammy.
How white women use strategic tears to avoid accountability, from The Guardian.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
like
we didn't know this was
that.
already happening.
Yeah, like nobody knew that.
But well, here's the problem though. It's not how women use strategic tears to avoid accountability. No. It's how white women use strategic tears. This is all about white women being the problem.
You got to have identity in there somewhere. You got to have identity politics, right? It's all about identity. I mean, we're all about diversity, but then we have to bring in, the identity politics, and then we can fraction out separate sections of society and persecute them for being a little bit different.
Fucking hell, Bob. Bloody telling you, don't ask our opinion on fucking anything. This is the second stupid fucking story you got from Australia, and don't ask us. Look, we clearly don't know shit. Look at this stupid fucking article.
Look, the thing is, it doesn't matter if it's over there. I mean, you could find the same thing over here. I guarantee you. Just search.
It's social justice. It's everywhere. It comes out in the open in Australia. I'm sure this is everywhere. I'm sure there are plenty of black women going around going, "Those damn white women for crying."
I guarantee you where it's not happening. I guarantee you where it's not happening is in places where they actually do have fucking problems. It's going to be in Africa and probably in most of these countries that have managed.
Eastern Europe. In Eastern Europe, I bet this crap doesn't happen, but yeah.
Yeah, because nobody's got the fucking time to pay attention to it. They got too much to fucking deal with.
Now, in England, this would be an article written by Mozo Sheila, and it'd be fucking Christian women.
Well, it'd be. I bet you it's got to be by somebody called Azu Hazan or something. It's a fucking name.
But the connotation on this, saying that Australian and the white women, this denotes that we've got a huge black population, which we don't really. So does that mean when black women are crying, does that mean they're guilty?
No, they don't do it strategically. They're just in pain. Women do it deliberately because they're not actually suffering.
Yeah, this is about white women, right? It's the white women guilt thing that they're trying to now play because they're running out of, how far can you sexualize things? So now they're going to they've already fucked up the white man, right? So now they're going to go after the white woman. And the white woman thought that she was a protected group, right?
Oh, hell no. I'm seeing it here. I'm seeing it at my job, man. Yeah. I am seeing that it is these white women who are like, oh yeah, okay, we finally got rid of all the men. Yay. I'm like maybe there's a dozen male employees out of like 1,000 now in the rank and file. I'm one of the few.
And what is happening? The women just want to fucking dissect each other.
Yeah, and now they're going after the white women because they're not, they don't have enough privilege. And it's like, yep, well, you built this, man. I'm on the night shift. Nobody talks to me. You can't come after me unless you talk to me. So, but moving on here. Speaking of coming after, Title IX comes around. Male student accuses female student of sexual assault. She says he wanted revenge. Apparently, she used Title IX against a friend of his, and then she had sex with this guy. This guy was too drunk at the time to consent to sex. So he called administration and reported her, and now she's the one who's getting charges put against her.
I like the first line of the second paragraph.
Oh, well, you see, that's the thing. That they won't like it when it's equality, right? Because they're not after equality. They don't want equality.
No,
Oh,
see,
there's plenty of equality. I mean, like the male accuser, John Doe, but I like it how that when there's a female aggressor, she's Jane Roe. We don't publicise her name. No, we can't publicly shame her on the internet. No.
it's well, I mean, this is what Title IX goes to. It's just reached the point where it's whoever makes the accusation first is safe. So if you have sex with anybody and both of you were drunk, it's whoever goes first.
Yeah. Actually, fucking hell, that's true, isn't it? Yeah. That's really all it amounts to. I mean, it's like regret. So who regrets it first?
Or if you don't regret it, but you think the other one's going to regret it, then you'd better regret it first. Like you need the campus police on speed dial, because if you don't, you're screwed. You've got to go first. So,
oh God, could you imagine this shit in old timey English gentry type scenario? Oh yes, I'm so disgusted and disappointed with myself. Oh no, I believe that I should be more disgusted and dishevelled with myself. No, trust me. I must insist that I am. Oh, fuck's sake.
Well, you do not have as many. When it comes to being a, oh, go ahead.
Regret roulette. I mean, that's really what it is now, right? Just put down you might as well turn it into a fucking lottery.
Yeah, regret roulette. Okay, now what exactly are you regretting? You were regretting fucking it. You're regretting not running the night before, and now your arm stuck underneath her. You're regretting going down on her. Now you've seen how big she is. You regretting
you ever met the bitch.
Yeah. Is the fifth chamber of the regret revolver full of AIDS? Is the next one full of gonorrhea? Is the next one empty? Is the next one got a bullet, a baby in it?
Maybe some chlamydia,
Well,
holy shit.
Moving on to the next one. You do not have as much balls as this guy. Man drives 40 miles with 3,000 bees loose in his truck, doesn't get stung once. A guy who bought 18,000 bees and was taking them back home for his, I guess, farm and to, pollinate crap. One of the containers was not properly, secured, so he found the cabin crawling with about 3,000 bees. And he said, man, I don't want to lose those bees. They were expensive. So he just kind of got into the car and drove the other 40 miles home. And, well, he just drove very slowly and very still and just let them crawl all over him.
Yeah, well, no, the thing is, bees are not naturally,
Hold on a sec. I got to go check something. Be right back.
Aggressive. Bees are cool. We used to have a beehive next door to us when I was growing up, and bees are. We already had the honeybees. You always catch them in a cup and release them back again.
False alarm. Sorry about that.
Recognized honeybees. In which case, fuck them. Swap the bastards.
I mean, that's gutsy as far as I'm concerned. I thought it was worth mentioning at least. Anyway.
It was good. It was a harmonious story. It's like, man and an animal living together in harmony for 40 miles.
But now, I'm a little late on this one, but I'm coming back to it because we didn't do anything last week because of Fashion Police. But I thought it was worth mentioning the potato peeler. Man in court for having potato peeler. Yep.
Why is everyone doing this?
Because in England they were outlawing knives, and so apparently that includes potato peelers. I thought it was worth mentioning. It's so, it was the big joke. If you're going to outlaw guns, you got to get around to outlawing knives. Why, yes. Yes, they will get around to outlawing knives.
Yeah, just issue a spork to everyone, Well, spork per person, and then that's it. Problem solved, right?
What were you going to do? Slowly skin somebody to death there? I don't understand how it can even be used defensively in combat. Hold on here. I've got potato peeler. Your death will be slow and prolonged with what? Your freaking potato. Ouch, you give me a paper cut. I'm going to beat the crap out of you with my fist. It's more effective than your stupid potato peeler.
To death. It's like, well, maybe it's like a saw thing. Saw episode.
Moving on to one of the most self-centered women ever, only in Sweden. Mother renames her son after tattoo artist misspells his original name on her arm. Swedish mother of two, whose tattooed artist misspelled her son's name, decided it was easier and a lot less painful to legally change the boy's name rather than go through several painful laser removal sessions. I understand. Yeah, what do you say? He changed, his name was originally Kevin, and so she had it changed to Kelvin.
And it's real. And yeah, but Sweden, I'm sorry, but the Swedes are a completely lost cause. You know, they've effectively sold their souls into this eternal abyss that is social justice. So fuck them.
Yeah, I mean that your son is so. I mean, I was getting a tattoo of him to show how much I liked him. No, you were getting a tattoo to show off, because nobody gets a tattoo for any other reason than for people to see it.
No one gives a shit what your kid's name is. You don't need to advertise it.
Yeah,
it's not like Nike or whatever, you know.
But it was easier
why
to.
You get, you know, why didn't you embroider your, you know, your blouse with the name of your child? You know why? Because you're a lazy fuck.
It's how self-centered are you? How egotistical are you? Your son, it's so his name doesn't even matter. He's not even a boy. I bet you probably is like, yes, I have a son. He's going to grow up to be a rapist like all other men, but there's nothing we can do about it. I mean,
yeah, that's such a low rent thing to do, Eddie. Get your kids' names tattooed on you, especially if you're a Sheila. Usually some bloody ex-bikey slut-looking fucking thing with more than one tattoo, and like, especially when like the people like you know who's a fuckwit in Australia if they got their kids' names fucking tattooed on them, or they got some cunt's name with a date of birth and the date they died, or they've got it on the back of their fucking window in their car or something like that. You're dead set no. The cunt who's driving the car is a fuckwit, and the person that they've either got tattooed or marked was also a fuckwit.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you're not dealing with the cream of society. Let's put it that way.
Fuck no.
Anyway, moving on to Ninja Squatter.
Oh, is this the bloke who leaves shits at security camera things and they still can't identify him because he's a ninja squatter?
No, not quite. Ninja Squatter lives in woman's house for 6 months without being noticed. 20-year-old man from the Japanese city of, I can't pronounce it, something Himeji, was hailed as a modern-day ninja after managing to live unnoticed in an elderly woman's house for over half a year. Basically, there was a 90-year-old woman, and he would sneak into her house and live on the second floor because she couldn't make it upstairs. One day, her son came to visit and went upstairs and found the man sleeping on the floor.
And then the 90-year-old...
He had
usually
to
how
use,
those
like,
stories
the
go.
washing machine or something. I mean, he must have had to use the facilities at some point. I mean, didn't she hear him flushing the toilet or whatever? I mean,
90 years old, she's probably deaf as a doornail too.
I gotta admit, it's here in America, that would actually make him a tenant. If he could manage to stay in somebody's house for 6 months and prove it, they'd have to evict him. At least in New York State. We've got some pretty screwed up laws. So if you could sneak into somebody's house and be unnoticed and sleep there for 6 months, you're technically a tenant. And then you get to be evicted. It's crazy.
Isn't squatters' rights in England still only 6 months?
I'm not sure about England, but I do know about New York. In New York, it's pretty liberal.
That's right.
Well,
I think, yeah, squatters. Well, no, the thing is, there's no real such thing as squatters' rights, but the courts frown upon anyone who doesn't make use of their property. So you've got leeway, let's put it that way. But I don't think that there is such thing as squatters' rights. I don't think they really exist.
Because I remember there was a whole mess of shit in the 70s and stuff like that when like cunts would go off on like months-long holidays and stuff like that, and then they'd find some fucking hippies fucking sleeping in their front yard, and they're like, "Nah, sorry man, been here 6 months, you can get fucked. Where were you?"
But that's when the law changed, and so I don't think it applies anymore. But yeah, I remember what you're talking about. You know, going back to the days of the Sex Pistols and
Yeah.
people to speak.
Anyway, moving on. This should have been on last week, but when I saw it, I said, you know what? This needs to be mentioned anyways. You can now buy for $1,450 half a jacket. It's literally right down the middle, top to bottom, and it only covers one shoulder for $1,450.
Bugger the jacket.
now-
I want to see more of the Sheila that's wearing it.
No, it's brilliant.
It's
These are the people that need to be rounded up. You see, this is how you identify the people who need to be exterminated.
now I gotta admit this model is pretty good looking, but the very concept is.
But I mean, the concept, just anyone who's willing to do that, that's a rounding up thing. That's like an Auschwitz experience.
That looks like Victoria Beckham from behind. Nah, this one's got an ass.
I want to know is that if I buy two of them, can I make an entire jacket by putting two of them together?
In thrift shop, spend £5 and buy a full one.
Yeah, or just don't be a fucking, a moron and just go out and buy a jacket.
Anyway,
Go to the thrift shop, buy a $5 fucking Armani jacket, and then cut the cunt in half. There you go. You're trendy and cheap.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got a hero here for all those MGTOW out there. Serial Dine and Dasher dater has been leaving women with the restaurant bill for at least 3 years. Paul Gonzalez as not the first or last man to ditch a new date. However, he raised it to an art form because apparently for 3 years he goes out with women on like the first date and then he ditches them. And he's been doing this in California for 3 years. Ah.
And now that man will never buy a beer again.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, just the infamous. Here's how it is. If he's the infamous Pasadena Dine and Dasher, how does he get more dates?
Because women are fucking idiots.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
women will jump in the car with Ted Bundy to get away from me, and after he's been fucking convicted and all these crimes have been come out to public, they still wanted to root that fucking bloke. You fucking, oh Jesus Christ!
I gotta admit, the guy does look handsome. He certainly looks better than me.
That should be a fucking dead giveaway. I mean, how many Sheilas do you talk about? The fucking the fat ugly fucker, the sweaty ass truck driver that fucking ditched him on a date or something like that. You never hear about that because the dumb stupid slags are running around rooting fuckwits like this bloke. Oh, he looks pretty and he's nice and hunky, funky, tall, dark, and handsome, and all this kind of. Oh, he did something terrible. Oh, look at this guy. He's pretty. Oh, yeah, I'll go. Oh, he did something nasty too. Oh, look, this guy's got tattoos and looks like he's an ice addict. Yeah, I'll go out with this guy too. Oh, why am I dead in the ditch? Because you're a fucking idiot.
Well, I mean, it's the reason why women used to patrol themselves. Women used to discourage younger women from doing stupid things. And the moment they said, oh, you can't shame me anymore, well, they started going out and doing more stupid things. And then they go, wow, there are men who will take advantage of me. I need to be protected. Or maybe you could stop being stupid.
The thing is, though, that they're only protecting themselves from the people they don't need to be protected from. And then they go and spread themselves wide open for fucking every cunt they should protect themselves from. But you can't tell them that because that's blaming the fucking victim.
By the way, this next one, I wanted to do it with Wendy, and I thought this one actually should have been in Australia, but the creeping devil,
film it?
the unique cactus that kills parts of itself to move across a desert. When I saw this, I was like, my God, we need Gwendy. I'm like, oh, it's not Australia, because creeping cactus that comes for you, that seemed like something that was Australian, where even the cactus will creep up on you and murder you in your sleep. But no, this is from California. California apparently has their own scary mobile murdering cactus. So, creeping devil.
It's like that scene from Austin Powers with the guy in front of the steamroller. No!
No! You know, taking forever to kill something. Well.
Actually, no. I've actually heard of something similar to this. I can't remember whether it was the Chinese who did this or the Japs, something like that. It might have even been bamboo. Fucking people used to be secured in a place where something could get them, grow through them slowly. I think it might have been bamboo.
Anyway, we got 2 left. I see we're losing people, so let's make this quick. I'd like this one. This one was great. The debt pyramid, an original way to shame debtors in Russia. Don't pay your bill? The utility company comes by and drops a 3-ton concrete pyramid right outside your front lawn.
I've seen something similar to this. That's typical Russian for you.
I love it.
You like your house, do you? You like your house, but you don't like to pay your bills. Okay, you keep not paying your bills and see what happens.
A debtor lives here. You must pay your water bill. I mean, come on. I'd be like, okay, you win. You win. You put a giant pyramid on my front lawn.
You see, the bloke in the house will go, well, you brought crane, you put this thing here. I have lots of money. I go get crane, I fucking move it. And then they get the crane to go to move it, and the guy standing next to the pyramid just is about to lift off the ground. He's, haha, see, I can fuck you up with your silly pyramid. And then the worker over the road, just before he ducks, goes, yes, but we put landmine underneath pyramid.
We put trigger under pyramid. You lift up, it go boom.
We call that booby trapping.
You are the booby.
Have a nice day.
In Russia, pyramid shames you. I like that's a good one.
Or it's hooked up to some convoluted pendulum system type deal thing, and what we don't realise, because no one's had the thought to look up, is there's one that's 50 feet above all of this, and he goes to try and move that one that's there. The other one comes slamming down on top of him. But yeah, there's a New Zealand company that do this. They've got a few videos up on YouTube that if you don't pay your bills, they'll just dump 3 truckloads of fucking dirt in your driveway.
Wow, that's I actually kind of like that, but I like the pyramid more. It's more classy. You know, I'm not quite sure which country this one's from.
England, NHS, National Health.
National Health System. Tracking illegal immigrants using the NSH system will end, says minister. Has England just basically surrendered?
Pretty much.
Is that what this is? That they're just surrendering?
Yeah, this was working too well, and too many illegal immigrants were getting a bit fucking put out because they were being found out, and that's not fair. So, of course, we've got to make it fair for the illegals.
You know, if it's such a great deal, I wonder if I should move there and be an illegal immigrant. You know? Like, make me an offer, man. Why would I want to come to your country and be an illegal immigrant? You know? Big for my presence. You know? Except I wouldn't want to live with all the other illegal immigrants. They're pretty disgusting.
Oh, no. You see, you can go to England. You can move to anywhere in the United Kingdom that you want. You don't have to go to bloody Birmingham or anything like that, where all the muzzos are. You can go to a place, yeah. It's not like Australia where we go and stick you with all the other scum that you've been trying to get away from.
Oh, well, I should keep that in mind. I don't know. Well, I mean, kind of a weird night, not really that well planned, and I'm sorry we started 2 hours late, so that's part of the problem there. But
well, I just got home anyway.
Yeah, just wrapping it up. But I want to make sure I get something out every week, just so that we keep it active. We'll probably do something better next week. Things aren't as crazy as it was tonight. But we'll wrap things up here. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been kind of depressing. You know. You know, there's a part of me who keeps sitting here going, this is crazy. you know, whatever we're talking about. This is crazy. This is insane. This has got to be the sort of thing that makes people realize that everything's going to shit. And then next week, there's a whole list of new crazy shit. And it doesn't seem like anybody cares. And I keep wondering, when is the final straw? When is it finally going to snap? At what point does it break? And it just doesn't seem like there's anything lining up. I mean, when your very own national health system, which is an incredibly expensive part of your country, just says, you know what, we're not going to stop illegal immigrants from using our service. We're just going to dump money on people who don't belong here. Yeah, screw the people who live here. We're going to help people who don't live here.
Oh, no, they weren't stopping the people from using the service. They were just finding the undocumented from them using the service. They're still giving them the service. They were just sort of like, oh, right, and where do you come from? Nicaragua. Okay, all right.
Well, yeah, but...
Oh, you don't have a passport. Okay.
But
right,
they were
no worries.
deporting these people occasionally. So they were getting out of the system. Now when they get into the system, they stay in the system. And that's less money for the people who live there. That's money when you're in the UK and you're waiting 6 months for an X-ray. This is why. This is why you've got to wait so long. If you've got to wait for a necessary in this is the same problem in Canada. I met the person in the hospital who was like, oh, yeah, I had to come down to America to get this operation done because I'd be dead if I waited for it in Canada. I needed it within 2 months or I die. And they weren't going to do it for 8 months. I mean, we couldn't even pay for it to have it done early. We could have paid out of pocket and had it done early. But no, we can't. They won't take our money and they won't do it early. We had to come down to America to get cured. This is your country's. You're fucked.
You also find too that the people who are frowning upon what the NHS is doing are also the people who either have private health insurance and can afford a private hospital, or are people who have never had to use the service or anything like that and see how bad it can be and can get. And oh no, we should still allow it. And all this. Okay, so when you do finally call for your ambulance and your ambulance doesn't show up because that's part of the NHS, because they either couldn't afford it or it's too busy stuck down in Muzzo land fucking clearing up one of their messes or something like that, then they'll finally realise, hey, why didn't I get my ambulance when we had a similar thing in Australia where, I don't know whether you've heard of this bloke, Kerry Packer. He was Australia's richest man at the point in time. His son's James Packer. Anyway, fucking when Kerry had a heart attack, this is back before everybody had whacker paddles, and we had two types of ambulance. There was just your normal ambo, and then there was your intensive care ambulance. Well, fucking Kerry Packer wakes in hospital, and he goes, "Why the fuck did it take so fucking long to get me to hospital?" And then his assistant said, "Well, we got an ambulance and it was just a normal one, and we called for another one and they didn't have defibrillator either. They were a normal one. And third time we called them, they sent another one without a defibrillator, and then they finally sent an intensive care ambulance. Well, why the fuck don't all the bloody ambulances have all these bloody defibrillator things?" Well, it's because they can't afford it. Right, get me checkbook. And at that point, he wrote out a fucking check that gave every ambulance in I think it was either Australia or New South Wales, one of the two. Every single one of them became an intensive care ambulance as of that point.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And people used to say shit about fucking him going off of spending $60 million of his own fucking money, mind you. And he shouldn't be allowed to do that. What's he done for us? It's like, well, the next time you need a defibrillator, son, and the ambos have got one, you can fucking thank him for it. Why? You'll find that fucking this is all because of some cunt who's never been involved in the system before. But when they finally are involved in the system and there is a massive fuck up that involves them, they'll be all like, well, why the hell? Well, it's because of this, that, and the other thing. Well, that's going to change.
The problem is that it'll be too late, because the change will all be instituted, and the one person who says, "My God, I can't believe I did this," it'll be too late for them to change their mind and try and fix it.
Oh no! You see the benefit. You've got all these lords and shit that still have a bit of pull over in England, so it'll only take Lord Farty Bum Bum up in fucking Devon or something like that to fucking be 5 minutes. Because have his ambo delayed 5 minutes. It'll be right. I'll take this to fucking Parliament, and I'll be taking this to the fucking Queen. I'll be taking this to every cunt who'll fucking listen. And the old boys club of the lords and shit, they'll go there and it's like, all right, yes, well, all right, so we'll just have to not look like the Duke of Edinburgh when we do it.
One can hope, but I don't know. I keep wanting to be optimistic, but there's a part of me that goes, I'm also wondering if it's too far, if it's too late. It's for some places at least.
Oh no, the whole place is too far gone. We just got to make do with what we've got nowadays.
Ah, well. At any rate, I need to go and get some work done. So, anything else you want to bring up before we move on?
Nah.
All right, well, it's been interesting. Thanks for you guys stopping by. Sorry it wasn't like the most thrilling of streams tonight, but, at least we show up every week, right?
Yeah.
And
sort of.
Participation is 80% of the job. Anyway, I guess we'll wrap it up here. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope everybody has a pleasant day.
Boobies.